Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts, or leaders, or coaches, or academicians across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help our audience learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and with my co-host Sudhakar. So folks, we have been hearing a lot about IoT, which stands for Internet of Things. So until the year 2000, it was more about focusing on Internet of computers or a network of computers. And later on, LAN came into picture, wherein local area network of computer came into picture. And then we have seen the evolution of Wi-Fi and the speeds of internet has increased manifold multiple times. And today we are talking about Internet of Things, wherein you talk about the appliances like refrigerators or your smart TVs or air conditioners. They are going to be connected. So is the case with the autonomous cars and the drones and many more automobiles. Almost each and every electronic component is going to be connected to the internet. And it is very, very interesting to imagine how the world is going to look like in the next few years with the advancement of technologies like Internet of Things as well as 5G and many more. So in today's session, we are going to have a conversation around the basics of Internet of Things, and we are pleased to welcome Sai Prakash to our show.
Sai Prakash Belkeri is an Internet of Things professional and an emerging thought leader in the industry. He is currently working for Larsen & Toubro Infotech as an IoT engineer. In addition, Sai is the host of the first Indian IoT podcast, the Belk IoT, which is available on almost all major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google, and others. Under the brand Belk IoT, he is aiming to bridge the gap between the industry and educational institutions, helping the students and the industries both to come onto a single platform. Sai, welcome to our show.
Thanks a lot, Sudhakar and Naveen. It's a pleasure to be here today. I have been listening to your podcast since a while and recently got connected with Naveen. And the space is really awesome that podcasters like us are getting to learn from each other and we are growing. And the work that you're doing here is also great. So thanks for inviting me today to talk about IoT.
That is amazing. And also you touched upon this amazing topic that, we learn from each other because podcast as a phenomena is yet to get into a stage where we can say it is more in that commodity space, right? It is still in that niche area where we can learn from each other. And thank you for taking time, Sai. I really appreciate it. And definitely Naveen and I are looking forward to learn many more things from a seasoned podcaster like you.
Thank you.
So Sai, in the introduction, Naveen talked about the Internet of Things. Evolution of network and the speeds helped us to get into the current stage where not only the technical devices like mobile, laptop, desktop servers, but also the dumb devices like a refrigerator, your air conditioner, your toaster, your gas are also getting connected to this phenomena called IoT. So how do you define this IoT in layman terms? Maybe you can give a couple of examples so that someone like Naveen and I also can understand more.
Definitely, I'm sure Naveen and you don't need a layman explanation for sure. But in the interest of audience and everyone who will be listening to this podcast, let me make it simple. So Internet of Things or IoT, as it says, it is Internet of Things. Okay, so what are these things? Let's define these things first, because that's where people go completely. They feel like, this is a complete vague word calling things, right? So what are these things? So anything that we have around us, like say for example my mouse, or say for example my watch, or wallet, or anything like that is a thing. Okay, the general vocabulary of thing what we refer to, right? So when we understand these things, like as Naveen was telling in the introduction, when we look backwards, we were seeing that only there were few devices that were connected to internet. That's where we try to, get the data from and push the data out to the world. So that is, say for example, now internet is such a big, say for example, road, but to enter that road, you only have a small narrow funnel. and you can't push all the data through that, right? So when you want to push all the data through that, you need a bigger gate. So IoT kind of creates that bigger gate when you connect all these devices out there. Like say for example, today we have a lot of sensors. I'll go into the architecture in some time, but we basically know that we can connect anything to internet. Now how do we connect that? With some electronics and all these things that play, and we connect that. But why do we connect is the most important question, because when we connect that, we can harness the data out of it and we can generate insights. Like there are three main stages in any IoT implementation. Like first is we have things. Okay, from that things we generate data, and from that generated data we can generate insights out of it, right? So what are these insights basically? Like say for example, we have a water bottle. Okay, let's consider in our example that water bottle is our thing. Now any damn thing in the world, you just pick it up, it has two properties for sure. One is its name, what is it called, and what does it do. Even if we consider human being as a thing, he has only two properties for sure. One is his name, and the other is who is he, what does he do, and everything. So these are the two metadata of anything. So how do we understand that these two metadata? Like say for example, this bottle, coming back to the example, the bottle. Now this bottle is, we need information like, say for example, if that bottle is cold enough, or if the water inside that bottle is worthy to drink or not, or any information for that matter, right? So how do we get to know that information? When we either by directly touching it and feeling it and those things. But now say for example, in a use case where every morning you need to carry a water bottle, and say for example you are affected with some sinus and all, but every day you forget to make your water warm or something like that, right? So we can embed some sensors into that bottle which can constantly monitor the temperature, and then it will let you know that if the water is optimal temperature for you to drink or not, and that it will keep constantly, it keeps intimating you about that thing. And then going to the next level, we can incubate some, say for example, some thermal layers to that, and then we can also heat it according to our need. So this is what we can achieve. This is a small example. I have earlier on my podcast, I have given a lot of examples and different episodes wherever it was needed. But that's what is a simple example of a IoT implementation. How do we leverage that potential is that the crux of everything is data. We can, as I told earlier, we can leverage a huge amount of data out of it. And that's what makes it so beautiful. I hope I answered it in a better way.
Absolutely. So for the benefit of the audience, the links for Sai's IoT YouTube videos, podcast videos will be shared later along with our references. And Sai, thank you for that simplified example of water bottle, the details that we can collect from there. And I really liked the approach that you talked about. Each thing can have some data. Based on data, you can make some insights, and based on insights, you can make the business decisions or not. That's a very good way. I really like that simplification. So, Sai, moving on, I think it was in Fortune or Gartner, I don't remember, but in 2020, it was expected that IoT was around, give or take, $250 billion business. And in like next 5-6 years, it will go to almost $1.5 trillion, almost like 6 times or 7 times. What exactly do you think will make this space so huge in next 5-7 years itself?
Well, I would say, this 2020 year, last year was kind of catalyst, which has boosted the things to go in a much faster pace rather than, 7 years down the line. Because I am an IoT engineer by myself, and I'm working on a lot of projects. The amount of projects that have been taken up in this time are, humongous. Because that's where, we all know that necessity is what makes everything happen, right? So this was the real necessity. If the whole world goes down, how do we do that? How do we handle things? But I was talking all about this bottle and all these things, and how does this thing connect to the coronavirus and the factories and all these things. So let me put it perspective so that we can understand it better. Say for example, we have an industry, okay? And that industry runs it has some 4 assembly lines, and that assembly lines, we can say, say for example, now this is the example that I also gave earlier, but each assembly line has some 30 employees working on it to do some manual stuff and all. Now, if we automate things, the number will drastically come down to some 2 or 3 people, because everything, like we have robotic arms and all these things that are doing this work. Now, these all comes under the robotics and all this vertical. Okay, but what we have to exactly understand is that from this data, that is from this assembly line, we are looking at a product. Like, say for example, I'm an operator, I'm looking at a product, I look at it, I feel I might be a little biased, right? So this is good, this is bad, and I say only this is a small piece of scratch over there, let me pass it on. And things might have happen like this. But when we bring in IoT and computer vision, which is backed by AI models and all these things, then the quality increases, the productivity increases, and all. There are a lot of things that happen. Now, for the same example, people might say, there is a job loss and all this. The example that I was giving was for one of the clients that, this is the example that one of my colleagues shared with me, and he happened to visit there, and the same thing happened. Like, the amount of employees working on that assembly line drastically reduced. But is it that the company fired those people? No, they have shifted their job roles. Like, say for example, if he was doing some manual work, he was sent to some training, and then he is now looking at pulling the cable wires for internet and all these things, right? So there is definitely a lot of other needs. Only thing is that if you are adapting to your skill set, if you are changing your skill set, then definitely you always are there in the picture, or else you'll be left behind for sure. So coming back to the question, how big is IoT? Now, I would like to explain it with the verticals that IoT can be present, IoT can be implemented in. Now, I was just given an example that how IoT can be used in manufacturing industries. Now, say there is another example that the same thing can be used in pharma industries, right? To test the quality of the pharmaceutical products that are being manufactured, or anything for that matter. Now, the same thing can be applied in logistics, like how the vehicles will be tracked, where are the vehicles, and how much time would it take for that vehicle to go from one place to another place, and all these things, right? So these are the top 3 things that come out on my mind. But just think this, that you can apply basically IoT to any vertical for that matter, because when you look at it, it is such a huge space that wherever things are, you can just apply IoT to that, correct? So this is how huge the space is. I can go on about numbers that Gartner published and all this published, but that would again bring us down to fine, this is numbers, some company will make that money. What is in it for me? What is in it for you is you have these opportunities that every industry that you are in, you just equip yourself with this technology, then you can take your company to the other level, or you can equip with this skills, and you can get a much better paid job or anything for that. So that's how huge this space is.
Do you want to secure your data while browsing on potentially risky networks? Are you worried about protecting sensitive information on your mobile devices when you are traveling? Do you want to access your favorite limited streaming services wherever you are by using VPN servers in the countries where they are available? If your answer is yes to any of these, Surfshark VPN is the right VPN service for you. It is jam-packed with features that go way beyond the basics. It is fast and easy to use as you connect to the fastest server by default. Also, it is easy to install, and the icing on the cake is you can run it on unlimited devices using a single subscription. Exciting, isn't it? There is one more exciting news. All TGV listeners can download Surfshark VPN software with an 83% discount and extra 3 months of free subscription. Yes, you heard it right. Surfshark is offering this special discount exclusively to the Guiding Voice audience. To avail this offer, just visit surfshark.deals/TGV2021 and purchase the subscription. Click the promo link in the show notes right now. Hope you'll utilize this limited period offer and also share it with your friends. Thank you. Yeah, so great basics so far, and the discussion is coming up very well. You mentioned about the necessity, and it reminded me of the famous quote which says, "Necessity is the mother of invention." So, a pandemic situation like COVID-19, right? It has led to a lot of inventions because crisis leads to creativity, wherein these touchless transactions have come into picture, and so is the case with other industries as well, wherein people are doing things differently. So, how do you think industry can benefit from this IoT?
Now, when we say industries is again a broad term. As I told earlier, industries, say for example, manufacturing industry. Okay, there are a different set of things that happen in manufacturing industry. Like say for example, let's take the example of a car manufacturing company. Okay, when we look at a car manufacturing company, a car to get manufactured, we need raw materials. And then we need things to come into a place, and then definitely you might have worked with some client or who is into manufacturing, or you might have friend, you might have heard that a car is never manufactured at a single place. The bonnet is manufactured at some part, the dashboards are manufactured in some other part, and they are brought it to one part. Any product for that matter, that's how they are manufactured. But in this process, there is a huge gap, which is you can't track each and everything, can't exactly calculate what is the requirement. It's all prediction these days till now. Okay, it was all prediction, like this might be the requirement based on this things happening. These many people might afford to plan to buy this car, so that's why we'll produce these many cars. But now what it happens is the companies can go down to their showrooms, and they can also reach out to their customers directly. We have a lot of things, right? Say companies can roll out an offer saying, if you book your car 2 months prior and you'll get some discount, right? Now they know the data, right? They have the data, how many cars are actually required. So they never overproduce or underproduce, right? This is one of the use case. And other use cases, like say for example, there is something called as OEE, right? Overall equipment efficiency. Like there are, say for example, some 10 different manufacturing equipment. Like say for example, there is a CNC machine, lathe nobody is using these days, but CNC machine, or there is a drilling machine, and all these different things. Now drilling machine has a motor in it. Okay, that motor, there were domain experts who can just listen to the sound of that motor, and they can tell when this motor can come down, what is the issue with that motor, right? So but these days it's all brain drain. Like we don't have those expert people. Like maybe it's a fault with our young generation, but definitely we don't have such experienced people. And even if the people who are working right now, they might soon get retired, and for the knowledge transfer to these people is very less, right? So how can we do that? Now this is where predictive maintenance comes into picture, where you can embed sensors to all these motors or all these things, and you can constantly monitor the parameters of that motor, and then you can exactly predict when this motor can go down. Like because we have the old data, like say for example, if we are using a motor of some XYZ company, we can fetch the data, the old data of that company, and we can basically monitor that company will definitely have its own old data about when this parameter goes this way, this motor might behave this way, right? So it has its own predictions, right? So based on that predictions, we can predict like when that motor can go down. So no sooner as operator sees that, gets the information from system, hey, this motor is going to go down, better you have some backup. Then what this plant supervisor does is he can well ahead of time call up a maintenance guy, he comes in, fixes it, and the amount of downtime for the production to stop and the production being hampered is drastically reduced with this, right? Like which overall adds to the productivity, right? Which is called overall equipment efficiency. So this is how the industries by itself are getting better, which is one vertical, and also the industries are able to get information from their customers to make their products better and all this.
See, this sounds very exciting, and companies can definitely get benefited out of predictive maintenance stuff that we spoke about. And there is also another concept called as digital twins, which is going to create an exact replica of the regular or the physical machine, and to understand various parameters so that we can figure out before even a puddler spare part gets damaged, or if it is a time for replacement that can happen. Okay, so far we have been focusing only on the industries and only from the company's perspective. So now let us shift gears and talk about what is in it for me, for an end user like me, or for a common man out there.
Perfect. That's a great question because, just now before I was about to stop you and I was thinking, should I give this example also? But you have asked me the right question so that I can give that example right now, because I was now thinking how this can help. I'll give an example first about how this can help. IoT can help regular people like us. So, like, we all have water purifier in our home, right? There's a company, I don't remember the name of the company exactly. I guess it's Live Pure or something like that. So that company, what they are smartly doing is, this is a company based out of Bangalore. So what they are doing is they give out this water purifiers for home for free of cost. Like, you can just order, you'll get the water purifiers free of cost, right? And what they do is they then charge you per each liter of water. Now, people might get afraid, like, again, this is going to a subscription model, so they will control the amount of water I'll drink. But it is not that way. What you get out of it is, companies definitely get out of, have a recurring income. That is the profit for companies. But how do you get profited out of it is, you don't have to worry about all the maintenance and all that things about that water purifier. Like, I have water purifier at my home, and almost in every 3 months we have to change the candles in that, or all those things. We have to call up that guy. He is not available sometimes, and for 2 or 3 days the water taste is completely changed. And now that we are got used to that water taste, we can't drink this borewell water or something like that. Things happen with us. So, but when this water purifier is smart or IoT enabled, those people at the company, they are constantly monitoring its parameters. And what they do is, whenever it's going wrong, or whenever it's say for example a candle is about to get filled, it's completely going to be cluttered, and the water pH value is not good, they themselves call us up and say, this is the situation with your water purifier, we want to come and fix it. And you can let us know when you are available, and then we'll come and fix it. So you just have to say approved, they will come, they'll fix it, and they'll check the things for you, and they'll let you know, right? And also there is another advantage, that you have the past complete data of the whole, how your water was at your home. Like, say for example, now in the rainy season, the water gets a little polluted, like the regular water that we get at home, the tap water, it gets a little muddy, and these things happen. So in that time, the number of maintenance has to be increased, right? Take anything for that matter, any appliance in your home. The nuances of it are, when you start observing it, how it operates, the nuances are too delicate. You have to look at each and everything, how it happens and all these things. With this kind of model, you don't have to worry about those things, and they will take care of everything for you, right? This is the major business model that's being operated in industries, that all the product-based companies are now trying to become a service-based industries, that with the products they also want to offer services, which they have a long-term relation with their customers, be it a B2B company or B2C company, for that.
Absolutely. I think that is well connected. Like, all the product-based companies are getting into this transactional or subscription-based services with the data that is available at their hands. I think you are referring to OCO Water. I think that is the company based out of Bangalore, where they are giving like less than rupee per liter type of engagement. That actually gets into the next question that I had in mind. We talked about the common man's perspective. We talked about the enterprise level benefits that we are getting from this Internet of Things. So what are the opportunities from a student job perspective and also from startup and existing professional companies in this IoT arena?
Well, as I told you earlier, like, there are humongous amount of opportunities, because the way I look at the opportunities is the number of problems that are there in the industry. When you look at the amount of problems that are existing in industries, you just have to grab those problems and fix it, and you have opportunity, right? So wherever there are problems, there are opportunities. So I can put it that way, right? When you look at this thing, told you like this particular IoT is applicable in industries, home automation, everywhere. Like, it's omnipresent. It can be utilized everywhere. Like, say for example, if I say, where is internet applicable? Now, that's a funny question sometimes, because maybe when internet was coming into picture, people might have thought like internet is only limited to corporates, or internet is limited to these people. But now internet is required almost everywhere, right?
Yeah, the question becomes where internet is not applicable. Because
Exactly.
in this connected virtual world, especially in this unprecedented pandemic situation, anywhere starting from office to school, everything you need is connectivity, right?
Yeah, it has become another lifeline. You need
Exactly.
what all things you need for survival: water, food, clothing, shelter, and internet.
Roti, kapda, makan, internet.
Yeah, without that, things wouldn't run these days. So that's how IoT would be some point down the line. I predicting, this is my prediction again, based on what has happened with 2020 and all these things. People will get used to using this Internet of Things much. Internet of Things will become a part of their life by 2028 or something, because that is the time where like everyone has a smartphone now. Everyone will have a virtual the voice assistant like Alexa or Google Assistant and all these things, and a lot of other smart things like your doors will be automated, your windows will be automated, and these things will definitely be there. I'll give you another example. I was talking to one of my friends and I told him that IoT is applicable everywhere, and he was working in insurance industry. Okay, so what he does is he does claim settlement and all this. Now he said, you tell me, how does IoT is applicable in insurance industry? Now I said, fine, start counting. So I said, see, for example, you have home insurance. Okay, your home, how is your home and all. Now whenever there is some theft that is happening in your home, a lot of back and forth that happens for the claims, right? So when your home is smart, like you have cameras and all these things, the claim can be very easy because you have all the proof, you have all the data. The insurance industry exactly works on the factor of risk. It is proportional to risk. The more the risk, the more the premium, right? So we mitigate the risk and bring the risk as low as possible. So when you automate your home, the risk is drastically reduced, so the premium will be reduced, and it is a win-win for both the industries and also the insurance holders. So another example is health insurance, right? When you have these Fitbits and smartwatches which are constantly tracking your vitals, with that you can in future, like say for example, now this is the data for past 20 days. You take this data and check out how my heartbeat was, and based on that you can assess if my heart attack was genuine or not. There are these debates that happen with people saying that this was not valid thing, or this was not a genuine one, or something like that. So this data will really help in that perspective. So that is one of the examples. Now coming back to the questions that you asked, how is it applicable for the students? As I told, opportunities are endless, and industry is starting to grab these spaces. Like every industry has put up their own vertical in this IoT space. Like they are starting to understand, they are starting to figure out their own spaces in this vertical, and they are trying to do things, and that's how there will be a lot of job opportunities. Now how do you prepare for this? So IoT itself is not a simple ecosystem. Like IoT is not, now I want to make this statement for sure, because a lot of people think IoT is just another technology. No, IoT is just a concept, or IoT is an ecosystem, and you use the regular technologies. Like say for example, you want to build a UI, you would use Node.js or things like that to build your own device. Like you can use the same programming languages to build your IoT devices. Only thing is that there are different verticals. The first vertical is embedded systems, where you have sensors, you have gateways, you have embedded systems which act as a bridge between the dumb thing and the internet. Like they connect the internet with anything for that matter. Okay. And this is one vertical. The other vertical is networking, which is where we have different protocols over which communicate with our servers or cloud and all these things. So that is another vertical. And the third vertical is the business layer, where we write our logics and all these things. And there is also a fourth layer, which again comes back to the same thing, closing the loop, which is also called as actuators. Like say for example, the bottle example that I gave, in that the thermal layer that we will add is an actuator. Based on the temperature, the water, that particular heat generating device would change its temperature to adapt to that and change the water temperature level, right? So this is how there are different verticals. Now if you want to start out, I would suggest, you can go out to, there is a website called tinkercad.com, and usually I would suggest, to people to go out and buy Arduinos or Raspberry Pis or ESP32 boards and start playing with those things, because this is the best place to start to understand how IoT works. Because unless until all this concept that I am talking is really good to understand, good to listen to, But when you actually do that thing, like when you actually write a program and you see that LED is blinking, when you actually write a program and you dump it on that hardware and that bulb, when you say Alexa turn off the light, it will turn off the light and it will turn on the light, right? When you have a mobile app, from that mobile app you can turn off your light at home or a fan or AC, anything for that matter. That's when you really start falling into love with that subject. That's how I started. That's how my affair with IoT started, and this is how I am doing. So again, just for the sake of this, I'm sure you people will definitely link down my LinkedIn and all these things. So I would suggest any kind of help you need around IoT, you can always reach out to me, and I am there for you to help. Okay, and the reason I started my podcast was to make sure that India becomes pioneer of IoT for the whole world. And that's the motive I have. I don't know how I'll achieve it, but one thing I know is, if people start picking up this technology and start working in this thing in different verticals, there's no other way. Like, this is gonna happen for sure. So that's what I want. Let's see how it goes out. But definitely, if you have any kind of questions for that matter, you can always reach out.
Yeah, excellent. So the space seems to be very bright and the future is also very exciting. And you mentioned about people purchasing these Arduinos as well as the Raspberry Pis to explore. So is there any course or probably some material to go through where somebody can begin with?
I'll say two things. First thing is soon, probably in some time, I am planning to launch a thing on my YouTube channel and also on my website, but still in the pipeline. It would take another 2 months, I would say, roughly, to put that thing out for people to use it. The first thing that where I started was, there is a website called toptechboy.com. I would spell it toptechboy.com. The guy who taught these things, there are different, if you go to that website, you can find, on the top, you will find different tabs where one is Arduino, the other one is Raspberry Pi. Now he is teaching machine learning and AI and all this. And all these things is free of cost for that matter. This knowledge is available everywhere on internet. The reason I'm mentioning this website is he has organized the things well. Or knowledge with internet knowledge is available everywhere. Only thing is we are looking for is organized content, right? So that website that is a definite great resource, because that is where I learned too, and that is where I started my IoT journey too. And now I am working as IoT engineer for L&T Infotech. So definitely that's a great place to start. You can go there. Once you start looking at the videos, he has organized it in this way. Like, each blog is a lesson, and with that lesson, he also has given the transcript of that lesson, and also he has given video about how he explaining how things are. So you can start with that. He'll tell you what equipment you would require and all these things. Also, say for example, he says you require Arduino and all these things. For now, if you don't have Arduino and all, don't wait, because the thing that happens is people say, this is great, I'll start learning. They'll bookmark it and that will stay as a bookmark, but they never do that. Okay, start it. Go to tinkercad.com. And there you can simulate these things. If he says Arduino, you can pull up that Arduino as a simulator. You can connect them virtually, and you can see the output virtually until you order that Arduino and it is delivered to your home. Don't wait for that 2 or 3 days also, please, and try out those things. And that's because there's no time, boss. Like, I don't know how people are spending out time, but the quicker you grab these opportunities, the more you have opportunities in this space. So that's what I would say.
Excellent. So whatever you want to do next week, do it tomorrow. Whatever you want to do it tomorrow, do it today. And whatever you want to do it today, do it now.
Correct. Exactly.
Excellent. Sai, thank you so much for joining us today. It was indeed great to talk to you about the basics of IoT. I think we covered more than basics, if you ask me. It is amazing to see the passion that you have, and we from the Guiding Voice podcast crew, Naveen and I, wish you nothing but the best for you. And I'm sure our audience are going to visit your podcast, if not already done. And in this amazing opportunity where people like Gartner and Fortune are mentioning that $1.5 trillion in next 5 to 7 years, I think we have ample opportunity for everyone to take a pie from this amazing journey. So thank you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure being with you. And what you guys are doing is really fabulous. I mean, this is what is needed for the people of India. We almost have all the resources. The only thing is we don't have the right guidance. And people like you from industries, you both have handled top leadership positions at some good companies, and you have a top level view of how things should be. And when you are telling these things, I think, they are like stamped things and you have to follow those things. Thanks. I would, personally thank you a lot for doing such things. I'm looking forward for any kind of help that you need from my side.
Thank you.
That will be awesome. So thank you and keep up the passion. Really fascinated by your passion towards IoT, and keep inspiring the next gen, and let us all work towards a better future.
Dear listeners, to know more about our speaker and the content, refer to the show notes and visit or follow us on social media. We are available on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, Pinterest, and also on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and then follow, like, subscribe to us, and also share within your network. In addition, please feel free to email us at The Guiding Voice for You. That is TheGuidingVoice 4 as a digit, U as a letter at gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. That is India number 9494587187, and we will be happy to collaborate with you.
Hey Sudhakar, can you talk about the exciting opportunity of featuring our audience on this show?
Sure, Naveen. So guys, of late, we have been receiving a lot of career guidance related questions from our regular listeners through YouTube, LinkedIn comments, WhatsApp, and email. And we are responding to them on one-on-one basis. Now, we are pleased to open up a new mode of interacting with you all while providing a chance to broadcast yourself. If you have any questions related to education, career guidance, or a specific IT function, just send your voice message through speakpipe.com/theguidingvoice. We will play your question in your own voice along with the answer either from us or our expert panel in our future episodes. Hope you will utilize this wonderful opportunity.
All right, so it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode, and today's trivia is about dictaphone. So folks, have you heard about dictaphone before? Okay, in case if you haven't heard, I'll ask you one more question. Have you heard about iPhone or Amazon Alexa or Google Nest? Probably the answer is yes from all of you. So the dictaphone is one of the erstwhile versions of the so-called voice assistants that we have today, of course with limited features. Here in the dictaphone, it is just a kind of facility that allows the user to speak into a special device while typing a letter using computer, and it is going to take the notes for you. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. And we are signing off.